People say you are what you eat, but that's funny because I don't remember eating a sexy beast this morning. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are feeling a little bit like Tammy Abraham, and this is the Anglo-Italian pod. Welcome to our second episode. I'm Tommaso. You can find us on Twitter at ItalianAngloPod and on Instagram at Anglo-Italian-Pod. And together with me is my co-host, Mr.
Rory, come on, you remember my name. It's written on the screen, Tommy. Come on.
I was waiting for you to say it. How are you doing, mate?
I am good. I'm coming into halfway through my month in Bali now, or getting to like the third 3 quarters of it. Still hot as balls, still loving it down here. But now we're taking something back with us, and we've officially got a dog, or I officially have a dog. So exciting times.
So how old is the dog, Rory?
It's about 10 years old. It's my girlfriend's dog that she had down here before she moved to Milan, and now officially it's coming back with us. So I've never had a dog before in my life, because my mum had a phobia of dogs, and I was always like, I really want a dog. So now I'm quite excited that I've actually got a dog. To
take walks in November at 5 a.m. with the fog all around you. That's going to be exciting, Rory.
Well, you know what the best thing is? It's a dog that's terrified of rain, and she's coming to Milan. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be grim.
She's going to shit all over the house. No, I asked you the question about how old the dog is, because you said that you wanted to name it and the name of an Arsenal player, but it's been called something else for 10 years. So that would have been quite a sudden change, I think.
Well, the thing is, the dog's deaf anyway, so it makes no difference to the dog what I call it. But yeah,
so wait a second.
It's important that we keep the same name. So.
What did you do to your in-laws for them to give you a dog who's 10 years old? I'm not the one who has to tell you what is the lifespan of a dog, right? It's deaf, it's 10 years old, and it hates the rain.
Don't do that. You're going to make me really depressed. I already look at it and I'm like, oh God, how long have we? Like, honestly, it gets me a little bit emotional. We can't. It's a new dog, right? It's a new dog.
But what's the name? Tell our listeners the name of the dog.
The name of the dog is Nana, and it's named after a voodoo god, I believe. I don't know what my girlfriend used to be into, but that's what the dog is named after.
Lukaku, maybe? Or something. But guys, this is episode 2 of our second season. We're going to have a strong focus on Serie A. We've got 3 interviews lined up. One is about Inter Milan. I'm going to be interviewed together with my buddy Mike. And then we've got a Roma fan and a Napoli fan telling us everything about how they're feeling going into this new Serie A campaign, which is kicking off on Saturday. But first, match day 1 of the Premier League is already in the books, and Rory predicted it. Arsenal would not win against Brentford. And ladies and gentlemen, it took only 2 episodes to have your very first Rory rant. Let's go, Rory. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes for this one.
I'm patting myself on the back as just to how well I know Arsenal. I didn't watch the game. I was at a family dinner, as people on Twitter may well be aware. I was all right in the dinner, and I was like concentrating, all in Italian, so it takes a bit of concentration. And then Brentford scored, and I just went silent. And the whole family just looked at me and were like, what's up with him? And none of the family are into sport at all. So it took a bit of explaining to kind of get them to understand just why I was so upset. Having watched the game, we were terrible. Everything was terrible. Brentford were fantastic. And I said, Brentford are a team, like in the Championship, they were really, really good. They've got some great players. They play a great system, a great manager. And I thought it was all set up for Arsenal to lose, right? Their first game in the top division since 1947 or something. Fans back for the first time. Their first game in a new stadium. It was all just set up for us to lose. And we did. That being said, I actually believe there are some positives around Arsenal at the moment. The media at the moment is fucking taking a right kicking at Arsenal. Like, everything is negative. Everything's terrible. Look, it was a terrible result. We do have Chelsea and City next. People forget we beat Chelsea twice last year, and both times the pundits were saying Arsenal are going to get a shoe in here, and both times we won. So we know the game is definitely not a certainty. I think, look, we probably will lose, but I don't like the presumption that we're going to lose. I think there's a lot of positives. I think this Ødegaard deal for 30 million is an absolute steal. I think we've had Real Madrid's pants down there. I'm perfectly happy with that. This Ramsdale signing, I'm actually quite excited about. It's a lot of money to spend on a backup keeper, but we tried the cheap goalkeeper thing. We signed someone for 1 million and he was horrific. So why not try and spend a bit of money as long as we go and continue the improvements in the squad? We still need a right back, a striker, maybe. And we might add another central, like an attacking midfielder. So I think we're far from done yet. There are signs of optimism, but it was not a great start, admittedly, but a very Arsenal start. A very, very Arsenal start.
Since you're so good at predictions, you want to tell us something about Chelsea-Arsenal? Arsenal-Chelsea, actually?
I think we won't lose.
Okay, well, last week we won't win, and this week we won't lose.
I think Arteta's record against the top teams is actually really good. So I think we could get away with something, and a lot of the media will have to shut their bloody mouths for a week and complain about someone else. Just talk about another team. TalkSport has just become Talk Arsenal for the whole week. That's all they've talked about.
That's great.
Guys, there's 19 other teams to talk about. Like, it's insane.
I bet you guys didn't expect that your first Ruairi rant would be after only one episode. Like we're at episode 2. This is the 7th minute and we're already on it. But that is not, unlike the media is trying to make you believe, that is not the only thing that happened in the Premier League last week. As Manchester United absolutely trashed Leeds 5-1, with, as Bryce put it, a casual 4 assists from Paul Pogba and a hat-trick from Bruno Fernandes. Rory, what did you make of the Red Devils against Bielsa's Leeds?
Their 2 biggest players coming out for them, and just like on the first day, again, I feel like a full Old Trafford. Varane was revealed to the crowd. The atmosphere there was like incredible. I think that really pushed the team on. Fernandes, his numbers are insane. We know how good he is. And even though it's United and even though it's him, I'm really happy for him that he got his first hat-trick for the club in front of fans on the first day of the season. I think it's a really nice moment. Pogba kind of shut a lot of people up, I think, and he will continue to shut them up if he actually finds, consistency. He shut a lot of people up except Graham Souness, who is just coming across as like that racist uncle at a dinner. You know, the guy who ruins your Christmas dinner and you're like, oh, God, we had to invite this guy. And he just keeps going on about the agenda by the kind of Illuminati or something. He's really coming across as like a really cantankerous old man and almost vindictive. He, after the game, said that when you spend that much money on a player, you're expected to get 4 assists a game. Like, stop talking out your arse. And the way he kind of dismissed Mika Richards was actually quite uncomfortable to watch. But for the game, I think Man United were fantastic. Mason Greenwood was really good. His off-the-ball movement is insane. His finishing is incredible. The only caveat I'm going to put, and maybe Man United fans might not like this, is last season they battered Leeds 6-2. And when Leeds lose, they don't lose by 1 goal. They lose by 4 goals, 3 goals. Like, they get battered, they don't lose. So I think it's a great result, a great performance, but let's not read too much into the first game of the season.
I agree with you. Liverpool also pick up a win away at Norwich with goals from Jota, Firmino, and Salah. But I guess the biggest news of them all is Tottenham Hotspur under their new manager, Nuno. I never remember his full name.
Espirito Santo.
Nuno Espirito Santo. They win 1-0 against the Premier League champions, Manchester City. What do you make of that game? I bet you didn't expect that result.
No, what actually, I don't know. After the Arsenal game, right, I didn't watch any football because they'd scarred me so much. And then I was ready to watch football. And I was like, oh, I'll sit and watch City Tottenham. And then Tottenham fucking win. I was like, this is the worst weekend ever. No, they were really, really good. We have to say that City, in the 5 games they've played at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, they haven't scored a single goal. Their record against Tottenham is actually pretty terrible away from home, but Tottenham were fantastic. Tanganga, I've never really watched him that much before because I try not to watch Tottenham. He was unbelievable. He had Sterling in his pocket all game and Grealish. For City, they just really, really need a striker. They really need a striker. And I think Daniel Levy was sat in the stadium going, I can add another 20 million onto this price now because this team, they are fucking crying out for it. It's getting a bit weird that there's a few strikers on the market now. Like today, Lewandowski has come out and said that he is looking for a new challenge. There's Haaland. There's a few options, but it's weird that City are just so obsessed with Harry Kane. I feel like it's quite kind of tunnel vision now, where it's like, okay, if they're not going to sell him, then just look elsewhere. There are other options, but City definitely need him. I did like the moment from the Spurs fans singing, "Are you watching Harry Kane?" I did quite like that. And there was a post on his Instagram this week of him training. He was like back at it, and it's just him on his own. I was like, yeah, I bet none of the players are fucking anywhere near you. I bet they all fucking hate you. Yeah.
But one thing that is pretty interesting, if we don't consider the club friendlies, Manchester City have lost their last 3 games, including the Champions League final that they lost to Chelsea. They've lost their last 3 games, all 1-0, while Ruairi is coughing his lungs out. I'll just keep going. But yeah, it's pretty interesting because a squad known for its firepower, all of a sudden is shut down 3 times in a row, losing 1-0. They lost to Chelsea in the Champions League final, to Leicester in the Community Shield final, and as we just mentioned, to Spurs in the opening game of the Premier League. But I wouldn't be too quick to jump to conclusions, since last year we counted Man City out of the race for quite some time, and in the end they just put a bunch of results in a row and ended up winning the league. But again, another interesting result, especially considering that Lukaku wasn't there yet, is Chelsea beating Crystal Palace 3-0 with goals from Alonso, Pulisic, and Chalobah. Now, this guy, Chalobah, he's been all over footballing headlines. Rory, what can you tell us about this guy?
He has really stood out. He's had a few games in pre-season, and he looks really assured on the ball. His passing is great. He was out on loan in France last year, I believe, and he was played kind of in defensive midfield. So he's really good on the ball. And that moment of him getting a goal on his debut was really beautiful. He just kind of drops to his knees. A beautiful goal as well. A really beautiful goal. I think for Chelsea, look, we've known for a while that they've got a really great youth system. They just never use it. And I think with Lampard, they started to bring in a few players, mainly because of the transfer ban, but they brought in players like Mason Mount and kind of started to bleed in a few more players. And I think it's a resource that they have that if I was a Chelsea fan, I would want to use a little bit more, because all they do is they raise these players and then sell them on at a profit. Now, it's a model that works for them, but rather than go out and spend 30 million on someone else's youth prospect, why not use your own youth prospect? So I think it could be a kind of change in tide at Chelsea. And yeah, their youth team always wins the league, always wins the Youth FA Cup. Like, they have a really good youth system. So this is another player that's coming out, and I think he's going to have a bright future at Chelsea. Hopefully, he seems like a really nice kid. Like, his interview was like, he was just really humble, really happy to play for the club, really happy to get his goal. I just think it was a really nice moment on the opening day, again, in front of the fans, a beautiful moment. And 3 goals from Chelsea's, like from players that Chelsea don't really rely on massively, if you know what I mean. Like Alonso and Pulisic are kind of a bit more fringe, maybe. So it shows that their squad depth is definitely there.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe one thing, Mr. Trevoh Chalobah, you can work on your hair. It looks a little weird. It feels like
you don't like it. I quite like it.
It feels like a Gervinho-ish type of.
Okay, haircut. No, I can see that vibe. Yeah.
But congratulations.
He's got a smaller forehead than Gervinho, so maybe it looks a bit better.
Gervinho is the king of foreheads. We know that. But we also forgot to mention in the last episode, since these 2 episodes, they're crammed with information about Premier League and Serie A, we forgot to mention that Chelsea have also won the UEFA Super Cup. So Chalobah, 2 games for Chelsea, already a winner. Hopefully you can keep this trend going. But unfortunately, we have to mention something else about Chelsea. Rory today sent me an article from the always great Athletic, which I don't even... Yeah, Rory, I just let you go. It's an interesting read, but you will have to read it in multiple chunks, I think, because I had to stop halfway through. It was quite grim.
Yeah, so I believe I'm just going to double check who it was written by. I think it was written by Oliver Kay, but it came through on the Athletic today.
It's by Daniel Taylor.
I apologize, yeah. Daniel Taylor, but it's written by Daniel Taylor.
The name of the article, if you want to look it up, is Chelsea coaches punched and kicked young black players in the 1990s. And Rory, I will let you go.
So this was a story, and the coach was Graham Ricks, and he was actually an ex-Arsenal player, an Arsenal legend, and some of the stories, now I'm not going to go into the details, I'm definitely not going to go into the language that he used, but it genuinely, I had to stop and kind of take a breath and then read again. It is the most despicable behavior, and it is like a pattern of behavior aimed specifically at black players of like pouring hot coffee, punching and kicking them, humiliating them, making threats towards their family, just disgusting behavior. Now, Chelsea have come out and basically just said, yeah, it's all true, which is a bit of I don't know, is it noble or is it just accepting that the evidence is bloody strong? It's something that's really important, especially at the time and now when racism is in the headlines, as it should be. It's really important that this story is shown, and the legal proceedings are, I think, due to take place or due to start in May next year. So the papers were submitted today. You should definitely read the article. It's difficult reading, but it's important reading. And I think it's a club, like, we know what the history of Chelsea fans is like. And from what I've read and from interviews I've seen with black players from around London, people like Ian Wright, they always knew that Chelsea was a racist club. They knew that there was racist problems there, and that's why they didn't join that club. I think it's something that's been well known, and now we have the evidence to prove it, really. Graham Ricks, unfortunately, is still in the game. He's managing, I think it's Goththorpe Town, down in the southern, it's like the 7th tier of English football, but he obviously should be nowhere near the game and should arguably be in prison. So I think hopefully this leads to action against him and action from Chelsea as well. So I don't know how you can make up for this or what you can do to kind of repair this damage, but it's definitely it's a difficult story to read and talk about.
Yeah, and again, guys, read the article. These are not rumors. There is a legal proceeding ongoing, and it's called the AMX versus Chelsea Football Club Limited. So it's all on paper. There are as many as 62 witnesses against the Chelsea Football Club, and the grimmest thing of them all is that Chelsea admitted that it was like institutionalized, basically, that they knew it was going on, and the black players, young black players in the youth team, they were targeted. And we're not going to get into the language nor anything more. Interesting read. Lukaku, I hope you're happy. I hope you chose the right club for your future. Mr. Lukaku, we will get on how I feel about Romelu later on when Rory will be interviewing me and my friend Michael. But before Rory, we move on to Serie A. We vow this year to answer all the questions that our followers are asking us on Twitter and Instagram. And the first question related to English football is for you, my friend, from our friends at FT for the Love of Lists podcast.
Legends.
They would like to know, how do you feel about Crew Alexandra this year? I'm going to give you a quick 45 seconds.
We have drawn one game and lost two so far, so not particularly hopeful. We have lost our three best players from last season. Perry NG has gone to Cardiff. Charlie Kirk has gone to Charlton. And another one has joined Cardiff, whose name escapes me now, which is really embarrassing. I think last year we did really well. We finished around mid-table. I think this year we're probably going to struggle against relegation, hopefully bravely and hopefully survive. I think League One is about our level. I like being in League One. There's lots of big teams down there this year.
It could be League Two, right? But you're in League One.
League One with like Sunderland, Ipswich. There's some like big teams down there. Charlton, like there's some big away games. So I like being in that division. Hopefully we're there next year. I don't know. I like the manager. I like the team. As always with Crew, we've got young players coming through to replace the ones we've sold. So hopefully they can step up quickly.
But, ladies and gentlemen, it's finally time to pom 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 pom. Pom 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 pom. Pom 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 pom. Ladies and gentlemen, Serie A is back. The champions of Europe, yes, the champions of Europe, Rory, are ready to put in display their national league, and we are super excited about it. We will start from a question from our friend Steve Cole on Twitter. He said that he thinks that this year the top four race is going to be extremely tight. And Steve, I can tell you, I agree with you. So, Ruairi, I will let you go first, and then I will jump in and I will tell you what I think of the possible top 4 this season.
Well, I think it's something that the past couple of years, the top 4 race has been really tight in Serie A. I feel like it's for the last couple of years, it's gone down to the final day, it's gone down to the last match, it's gone down to head-to-head, it's gone down to goal difference, whatever. I feel like it's always quite close. As we've said, and we will get into, the level of coaches this year has definitely improved in Serie A, and I think therefore improving the teams around there. We can go from all of these teams are going to be aiming for top 4, right? You've got Inter, Milan, Roma, Napoli, Atalanta, Lazio. Maybe, I don't know, am I missing anyone? I feel like there's a
Salernitana.
Yeah, Salernitana, they're going to be aiming for Europe. But there's a lot of, 6 doesn't go into 4. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm pretty sure 6 doesn't go into 4. So there's going to be a lot of scraps. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be really exciting. We've seen that Serie A has been, like I said, exciting over the last couple of years. I don't know. I don't even slightly know who to guess who's going to finish top 4. I feel like Atalanta are definitely going to be there because Atalanta feel like they're always there. Inter are going to be there. And then I don't know. From there, I'm like, who gets that last 4th spot? I don't know.
So I would like to start from Inter Milan, but we've got an interview and we will broadcast it later. But I'll just have to say, Steve, that I think, as Ruairi said, that the last 4 years have been really tight up top in the top 4. And I think that this year, the level of the managers is going to make the difference because of the COVID situation. And we will look into that, especially during the interviews, because of the COVID situation and the state of Serie A. There wasn't crazy spending. There weren't big ass names brought into the league. Actually, we saw the league actually losing some big names that created a lot of excitement, like Hakimi and Lukaku. But the level of the managers, I think, is going to make the difference. Let's not forget, Luciano Spalletti is back at coaching after 2 years in his Tuscan farm, raising geese and feeding them. Dude, those videos on Instagram were beautiful, by the way.
What a life, by the way. What a life.
What a life. He's ready to go again with Napoli. You will hear what I think about this match, but it might as well be a great match for Napoli. We've got Sarri back in the game, which is something that we definitely need. He's going to be at Lazio. We've got Jose Mourinho back in Serie A after 11 years, this time coaching the Giallorossi Roma. We've got Allegri. Together with Mourinho, the only manager in Serie A who has managed to win multiple Serie A titles. And then we've got Pioli, who did really well with AC Milan. And we've got a new look Inter with Simone Inzaghi, who did really well over the past few years at Lazio. Now, I cannot predict who is going to win the league, also because it would be a wrong prediction. As you friends of the podcast know, we're famous for that. But I definitely think it's going to be tight. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be Juventus, simply because Allegri is back and he knows how to win the title. We've seen it over and over again. But again, Inter Milan, they got rid of 2 key pieces in Lukaku and Hakimi. We will look in detail at that later. But I don't think they're doing that bad. The defensive backline is the same of last year. We were the best defense in the league. I don't see why it should go differently this year, simply because we have a new manager. But let's start from AC Milan, I would say. The news is fresh AF. They have just signed European champion Alessandro Florenzi. He's on loan from Roma, I want to say, because he's had a few spells over the past few years. He went to Sevilla, then PSG, and now he's at AC Milan. I think the ownership is still Roma's. He's on loan to AC Milan. How do you feel about the Rossoneri, Ruairi? Any opinions?
I feel like they've just solidified. I think most of their transfers were just turning loans into permanent moves, so there's not really much improvement. I think they've obviously improved in the attractiveness stakes as Olivier Giroud strolls into Milan as if there's a man better suited to that city. I think he could be incredibly good in Serie A. I think he's someone to be really excited about. But I think, for AC Milan, it's more consolidation than improvement. And Florenzi, I've never massively been convinced by. So I'm not sure. That seems like a bit of a weird move for me. But they needed cover there, right? They needed cover at right back, left back. Yeah. I can't remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think Fikayo Tomori being confirmed, being bought officially from Chelsea is a big move. Then, of course, they had to replace Gianluigi Donnarumma, and they purchased Mike Magnan from Lille, a fresh French champion, for 13 million euros. Sandro Tonali has also been officially bought from Brescia. And we've got also a player coming in from Monaco for 5 million euros. His name is Fodé Ballo-Touré, a new left back for AC Milan. And then, as you said, just a bunch of, confirming the old squad. Olivier Giroud, I think he's going to be great for Serie A. It just makes me laugh that AC Milan's front two is Ibrahimovic and Giroud. They are 85 years old together. But they are very experienced players, especially Giroud. I think he's still looking. Would you agree, Rory? I think he's still looking for the respect he deserves.
He will never get.
Yeah.
I think what happens is he was really good for Arsenal, and then he was really bad for a bit. And then people remember the bit that he was bad for a bit. But actually, his goal record for us is really good. At Chelsea, his goal record is really good. He's won the World Cup. He's won the Champions League. He's won everything. He's only one goal behind Thierry Henry in France's goal-scoring record, I think, if not drawn level with him at this point. I think he's one of those players that in 5 years, people will be like, the streets will never forget Olivier Giroud, and people will finally realize actually how good he was. But I think it's the way he plays, the style of his play. It's not particularly aesthetically pleasing, even though he does score some beautiful goals. I remember a scorpion kick for Arsenal, which was mental.
That won the Puskás Award, I believe.
It did, yeah. So I don't know what it is about him that people don't rate him. I don't know. I was gutted when Arsenal sold him, I'll be honest.
We shall see. I think Serie A is considering his career, it's like the missing piece in the puzzle, in the jigsaw puzzle. And so I think he will do well. He's going to be interesting to watch. Hopefully, Olivier, you don't hurt Inter Milan in the derby. I wouldn't like to see that. But let's move on to Juventus, whom, after 3 months of negotiations, they finally managed to sign Mr. Manuel Locatelli from Sassuolo. Now, the formula that they signed Locatelli with is absolutely incredible. So he's going to be on loan for 2 years at Juventus with an obligation to buy. And then Juventus are going to pay 35 million euros dilated into 5. What is going on with Serie A? Is the money that tight? What the fuck?
It's like one of those, those higher shops where you can get a TV or an Xbox, but you have to pay £20 a month for the next 40 years. It feels like that. Is really, could they not find the money? Has Ronaldo just got hold of the bank account? All the money directly goes to him? It doesn't even go through the club anymore. It's just I don't get where all their money's gone.
And apparently there was a stall at they couldn't find an agreement because Juventus, from what I've been reading, they were 30 million or nothing. And Sassuolo were just all right, 35 or nothing. We've got the upper hand here. And apparently Sassuolo were almost ready to just drop the talks with Juventus. And eventually Juventus found this incredible formula to get Manuel Locatelli. Now, let's get to the question that both Blast from the Arsenal pod on Twitter and our friend Bryce asked us. Do you think that Locatelli is going to take Juventus back to the top? I will answer first. This was Bryce's question. I think Locatelli is a great player, and I think he can make a big difference in Juventus's midfield, which last year was kind of the weak link in their play. I don't think, though, that Locatelli alone can make a difference. I think that difference is going to be made by Mr. Max Allegri, Il Conte, the Count, for some reason. But Rory, the question from Blast from the Arsenal podcast was, we feel like Locatelli would have been too slow for the Premier League and it's better fit for Juventus. How do you feel about that one?
I politely disagree. I think the one thing that I've noticed about Locatelli is the fact that he speeds the game up. I think when he's at Sassuolo, they use him for impact. When he comes on, he is that dynamo in midfield that pushes forward. I think he almost adds a bit of pace. we saw with the goal that he scored at the Euros between him and Insigne, right, where he starts the move, passes the ball, then comes back across to him. We can see there that he
With
makes
Berardi,
yeah, he makes runs from midfield. I think when the rumours about him coming to Arsenal, I never really thought he would come to Arsenal because Italian players all want to go to Juventus. I was really excited for a moment, though, because I thought he would be exactly the type of player we need. I think he would fit to the Premier League quite well. I think, the Serie A in general is a bit slower, but I don't think he's one of the slower players.
I would agree with you. The only other signing from Juventus was Caio Jorge, 19-year-old from Santos. There is a lot of excitement around this name. I will admit I don't know much about this striker. We shall see how Max Allegri can implement him into the squad. For the rest, Juventus's market has been solidifying their squad. They've finally purchased the Winston McKennie from Schalke. And the Luca Pellegrini, I think he's going to be the starting left back for Juventus this season. He's back from his loan spell at Cagliari and then Genoa. That's it for the Juventus market. Only 2 signings. That's the fewest signings they've had in the past 40 years. So always more than 2 every season. Of course, as we will look in depth later, COVID has been a big part in the market. Serie A is not as rich of a league as the Premier League. So that's it for Juventus. Can they push for the title? I think they can. Again, I will mention it for the last time. Max Allegri's expertise is unmatched in the league. We know he's not going to deliver the most exciting type of football. But again, Juventus fans, have you had any type of exciting football in the past 3 years? Whenever Sarri tried to bring exciting football, he would be battered. Then you appointed fucking Pirlo. And Andrea, with all due respect, I saw there was an interview with him at The Athletic explaining him his footballing philosophy. I haven't read on that one yet. But again, Juventus are used, I'm going to say it here, I'm not afraid. Juventus are used to winning, but they're not used to playing beautiful football. Leave it to other teams like Napoli, Atalanta. But you guys brought in Max not for beautiful football, but for winning. And I hope for you, not for me, that you will achieve results with Max back in the bench. How does it feel to see Allegri back at Juventus after taking 2 years of a break, Rory? He was rumored to go to Arsenal as well.
Yeah, he's been linked with every club. He was linked to United. I think he was a manager that lots of clubs were looking at. Look, I hope it doesn't return to the domination that he had at Juventus last time. I actually don't think it will. I think the league is a lot stronger than it was then. I think there's a lot more teams with a lot more strength, a lot more depth. But I do also think that he might just walk them to the league this year, which would be incredibly frustrating. But yeah, like you said, for Juventus fans, it's fantastic. But they do always say never go back, right? Never go back. Not many players or managers, when they return, actually do as well as the first time. So we shall see. But because it's Juventus, they'll probably win.
Especially managers, right? And it feels like a bit of those, when there is that girl that you dated for a very long time, and then you break up, and then for 2 years you don't see each other, but you're kind of in contact, and then you're like, we are back together, and your friends are always like, God damn it. In Italian, we call it a minestra riscaldata. It's a warmed up soup. I think Allegri, I honestly wanted Allegri to be the new Inter manager. I think that he's shown incredible loyalty to Juventus after the way they treated him. He was basically fired because they said that it was consensual. I don't fully believe it. I think he was put on a lot of pressure because he only won the league and a few Coppa Italias, a few Super Cups, but they wanted that Champions League win. Sarri didn't manage to do that. Pirlo, of course, didn't manage to do that. Let's go back to the old recipe this time. But Juventus, again, guys, don't buy in the narrative that newspapers try and media in general try to sell you. Juventus are still the only thing that they're looking for is that Champions League trophy. That's the only thing that they're looking for. And every year they try to mask it with the Scudetto was an incredible success and everything. But again, Max Allegri was brought back in to, win the title, and that for Juventus fans is like the bare minimum. But again, there is that obsession, the Champions League. Come mai, come mai, la Champions League tu non la vinci mai. But that's it for Juventus. Don't want to cover the Bianconeri anymore. Still staying in the top 4 from last season, Atalanta selling 2 key pieces of their defense in Gollini and Romero, both to Tottenham Hotspurs. They brought in Juan Musso, great goalkeeper, who played for Udinese until last year. He was rumored to join Inter Milan. Inter Milan, however, decided not to buy a new goalkeeper and to stick with Andanovic. They brought in Juan Musso and not much more except Meri Demiral, the defender, center-back for Turkey and Juventus. He was injured for half of last season. I think he's a great signing, and I think that the fact that Atalanta haven't changed anything else for the rest of the team is a good sign for their supporters. They've been delivering thus far, and so I don't see why they shouldn't again. However, there are rumors around their strikers. Inter Milan just purchased Dzeko, as we will see later on, but apparently there is still an eye on either Zapata or Muriel. I think, and Rory, this is an interesting thing about Atalanta. Did you hear what Papu Gomez said about Gasperini recently?
No, I've not seen that.
Whoa, that was huge in Italian newspapers. He basically opened up about the fact why he left Atalanta in the January transfer window, and he said because Gasperini tried to beat him up in the locker room. So during the Champions League game, he wasn't following Gasperini's directions, and then they went back to the locker room, and Gasperini started aggressively yelling at him and went up close to him, trying to slap him or something. Somebody stopped him. He didn't. Eventually, the president of the club he said during the next training session, you have to apologize for what happened. You didn't listen to the coach. You used some strong words. And Gomez said that in the locker room, he apologized publicly to the entire team. He apologized to the coach. But he thought naturally that the coach would also apologize afterwards for trying to beat him up, but he didn't. So he said that after that, he tried to talk to the president. The president kind of was a little flaky about it, didn't say what Gasperini should have done or not. And that's the reason why he left, because Gasperini tried to beat him up.
Damn.
Would you guess that Gasperini is that type of dude?
Not really. He looks like your granddad or something. He looks quite friendly, but then, it's always the quiet ones, right? It's always the quiet ones. I don't know. How old is he?
I don't know. He's got to be 60, I think, max.
He looks like a granddad, I don't know. But maybe it's always the quiet ones. I think, maybe he does look like he's got a temper. But I always wonder about the players. The rest of the squad must just be like, holy shit, this guy's... Like, when's the next... Right. Like, if I don't do something, is he just going to fucking attack me? I don't know. But I always, again, and this is like the first time I've honestly, down in Bari, I've not paid attention to any Italian news at all. My first kind of thoughts, is that the chairman just afraid of losing Gasperini? And he's like, oh, fuck, I need to stick with this coach because he's done such a good job. Whereas players are much easier, in theory, to replace, especially for Atalanta, who are used to replacing players, right?
I think that's a very good point. I mean, what Gasperini has done for the city of Bergamo and Atalanta is insane. Like being in the Champions League 3 years in a row, after it's almost difficult right now to think back at how shit Atalanta were for their entire history.
And I just want to say, this isn't justifying any of it. This is just saying why the chairman might have had the decision, right?
No, exactly. And again, I will tell you a funny story. My grandmother, she was an elementary school teacher for her entire life. And, she worked in Milan for the majority of her career. And all kids supported either Inter Milan, AC Milan, or as everywhere in Italy, Juventus. And so she said that back in the day, whenever kids asked her, what team do you support? She always said Atalanta, because it was from close to Milan. Bergamo is only 1 hour away. And also nobody supported Atalanta. So there would be she wouldn't favor any students or anything. So her entire teaching career, she said that she was for Atalanta. Right now she's 93 years old, and she's refound her faith in Atalanta.
Nice.
Last year, when she said, "Hey, Tommaso, I was watching the news and they said that Atalanta are playing in the Champions League. I think they were wrong." And I was like, "No, Grandma, they've been in the Champions League. This is the second year in a row." So, So yeah, that's it for Atalanta. I think that they're going to make the top four, honestly, unless either Zapata or Muriel leave. But I think that, I don't know, I feel like Atalanta always have a backup plan. Like if Zapata leaves, they will bring in like a 19-year-old Ukrainian guy nobody has ever heard of, who will just rip Serie A apart. That's my feeling about Atalanta.
Yeah, they've already got the replacement lined up. They have.
And before we move on to our interviews, we've got one last top 7 team from last season to cover, and that's Lazio. Again, the headline goes to the new manager, Sarri. How good does it feel to have Sarri back in Serie A, and how exciting is it for a press conference between Sarri and Mourinho? Wow.
Yeah, that is going to be a spicy. Look, I love Sarri. We've talked about him quite a lot. I always say the same thing. I'm going to say it again. He's never given time. Napoli gave him time. Empoli gave him time, and he did a fantastic job. Chelsea didn't give him time. Juventus didn't give him time. He still won trophies at all of those clubs, but is judged to have not done a great job. I think for Lazio, that is a great replacement for Inzaghi. I would argue he's a better manager than Inzaghi, so I think they've actually weirdly upgraded. The only problem for him is that he's not been able to invest anything in the squad. We know that Lotito is quite tight, and we know that he has issues with him also owning Salernitana, and there's lots of kind of trouble going on there. So they've not really been able to bring anyone in. There are rumours that they're going to bring in Torreira from Arsenal, which I think would be a great signing for them. I really like Torreira. I'm disappointed it didn't work out for him at the Emirates, but I think for Lazio that would be great. But they still need a striker, though, eh? I feel like Immobile, they rely on him too heavily, and that Murici, I don't know how to say his name, has been awful by all reports I've seen. I feel like their squad still needs a little bit of a boost, especially as there's still rumours that Correa is going to leave with Inter and Arsenal linked, so we're fighting over him, mate. And I feel like it could be difficult for Sarri, and it won't be his fault.
I like the take. I think, look, well, they brought back Felipe Anderson after a few years at West Ham United.
That guy did nothing at West Ham. Ask Tom about Felipe Anderson. The guy's lazy. Honestly, he did nothing.
Dude, I know, but I remember him ripping the midfield apart when he played for Lazio. And again, you might want to talk about the meme that you saw on Instagram. Pedro crossed the border within Rome, and he moved from being a player for Rome to being a player for Lazio. It's kind of a weird deal. The guy is 34 years old by now. It wasn't a free. I think Pedro, if he's got one thing, it's experience. And the last year at Roma, we saw, like, over the past 2 years, we saw him deliver quite a few times.
I thought he scored a few for Roma, eh?
And dude, one thing that I respect, like, is, well, not in Milan, but when I see a player crossing like the city divide, I'm always just like, this guy's got balls. Like, he went from Roma to Lazio. I like it. Let's see how it
I
does.
Also think he probably just doesn't want to move house. He's probably just like, fuck that. I'm not moving house again. Yeah, I'll just go to, I'll drive to the other side of Rome for my training. I think, look,
Right.
he's definitely, he's the first player to do it in 40 years. It is a fucking ballsy move because, like, when players do it in England, and it doesn't happen often, but when players do it in England, for example, Tevez did it with United, obviously Sol Campbell, Tottenham, Arsenal, they get a lot of abuse online, but that's about it, or they get a lot of abuse in the stands. In Italy, fans will go outside the training ground and they will find your house. Like, so I think it's like a very, very ballsy move from Pedro. But the meme that you're talking about, which I kind of made a comment about it on Twitter, and a Roma fan just commented like, it was a guy begging and someone giving him money, and it was a Lazio badge begging and the Roma fan giving money. And it's, I think very much the attitude is like, oh, we don't really need him. We're throwing him our scraps, which I think is a good attitude going in, because if he has a great season for Lazio, they're going to look pretty stupid.
Yeah, I think one thing that I was just thinking about right now, Sarri has got, I mean, guys, just go to YouTube and type Napoli, Sarri, best plays. There was a moment when Napoli played better football than Barcelona, in my opinion. Like, it was tiki-taka aimed at goal to the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget that Pedro played for Barcelona for a very long time, and he's got that tiki-taka vibe in him. And I think that if he's got to end his career with a specific manager, that might as well be Sarri. Like, I think we could see something very pretty coming out of Lazio this season. The other big, the other name that was purchased by Lazio is El Said Ijai from Napoli. And this was so fucking dumb. Lazio fans, get your act together. Lazio fans, we've already covered it over and over again. Super right wing. You know about when a new player comes in the squad and they're at the summer training camp, and they make them sing a song. Izai, and I respect him big time, he decided to sing Bella Ciao. Now, you might know Bella Ciao from Money Heist or La Casa di Papel, but Bella Ciao is the symbolic chant from the Italian resistance in World War II. Now, okay, I have to say on both sides, like, was that really the song that you need? Like, that you're going...
Right, but right, because... Right, he's not Italian, he's Albanian, right? I think. I didn't know that history about Bella Ciao, right? I thought it was just an Italian song like Volare or Sole Mio. I thought it was like just an Italian song. And I think I'm gonna back him and just say maybe he just thought, I need to sing a fucking Italian song. Oh, Bella Ciao, that's easy. The words are fucking easy, right? And it's an Italian song. Like, Lazio fans, come on, you're looking for a problem there, surely. You're looking for a problem.
Well,
right?
Yeah. Our American friends are always amazed by how much politics are involved into Italian football. That's huge in Italy, and Lazio are a far right wing club. I mean, historically, the majority of fans, the banners that they unfolded in Rome were fucking insane. Like, they always do this when this type of shit happens, like hanging like dolls from a bridge and saying Gizai, like, you're a piece of shit and stuff like that. Yeah, dude, that was...
I feel like... Well, I'm probably... if there's any Lazio fans listening, I apologize, but every time I hear a story about Lazio fans, I'm just like, fucking hell, what a basket case of people. Like, Jesus Christ, it's pretty heavy. Like, it's really, really heavy.
It is, dude. It is. And I mean, or Izai maybe did it because he wanted to provoke some sparks. I have no idea. But
I prefer that one. I hope he was trolling him. I hope he was just like, let's see how this goes down.
But on the footballing side, I think he's a very experienced player. He's only 27 years old. He's played under multiple managers at Napoli. He's always delivered quite a few assists every season, the odd goal here and there. So I think that's a good signing for Lazio. And it's now time for our interviews. But before that, Rory, you posted a funny meme today with Mr. Bean copying homework from somebody else. And you wrote Juventus, or actually Rubentus, under Mr. Bean, and Inter third away kit 2020-2021 under the guy who was doing the homework. The Arsenal O'Clock page on Twitter is asking us, what is the meaning of that meme?
Well, the Inter fourth kit last year was absolute fire, right? It was unbelievable, that fourth kit. It was beautiful. And Juventus have obviously wanted to get in on the action and just done a really cheap imitation of it, which looks woeful. I've seen it compared to, like, the volleyball, like the volleyball you had at school that was blue, yellow, and white that every school had. It was kind of compared to that. It's a woeful kit. But when we're talking about terrible kits, Puma have announced their third kit with no badge and the name written across the front. Now, Tommy, before I let you go on it, I think it looks like... I used to come to Italy on holiday as a kid, right? And I'd always say to my dad, can I have a Roma kit? And he'd be like, yeah. And he'd take me to some market and we'd get a Roma kit from a market that definitely wasn't a Roma kit. It gives off that vibe of just like some cheap market. Yeah, look, it's Man City. It says Man City on the front. Like, it looks so terrible.
Look, I'm just going to say this. I'll brag about myself for a second. If you go to our Instagram page, all the edits are done by myself. And I honestly just opened this website. It's great. It's for free. It's called canva.com. If you need to do anything about like Instagram posts, Instagram stories, like that type of stuff, that's the go-to site. It's for free. You've got plenty of things. You just sit down and you work around it a little bit. Now, I like these people, the designers for fucking Puma and Adidas and Nike, they are paid big bucks to do their job. I want to know, who is the idiot that was just like, he woke up one morning, he went to like the meeting and he was just like, guys, I've got an idea. Capital letters, we write the name of the team on the chest. And even worse than him, the people looking at him and being like, that's a fucking brilliant idea. Now everybody knows that it's
through so many meetings. That has gone through so many meetings with so many people, and no one has said to him, you need the badge. The badge is what the fans are most attached to, right? Is the badge and the colours, right? You got the colours, well done. You got the colours, right? But not really, because it's a third kit, so most of the colours actually aren't right, and you've not even got a badge. Honestly,
it's funny because on the AC Milan kit, on the AC Milan third Puma kit, the badge is not one. It's all over the place. So it's either no badge or the badge copied and pasted all over the place. Just like a guy on cocaine using paint and just going like, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. It's just like,
well, I saw someone on Instagram who said, "Oh, look, I created your shirt on paint in 2 minutes," and he genuinely done it on paint, and it looked exactly the same. But I was honestly so glad that Arsenal are now Adidas, because we were Puma 2 years ago, and I was like, "Fuck that! I do not want Arsenal written across the front of a shirt. The badge is fine, thank you. I'm so glad we're Adidas now."
I have to say that also the new Inter sponsor, well, it's no match to Pirelli, but also it says literally dollar Inter token. Like, what the fuck?
Mate, Arsenal have got the same thing. We need to talk about this at some point because it's fucking weird, these cryptocurrencies coming in. They're basically turning your season tickets into debit cards. It's really weird. It's really weird.
Whoa. All right. We'll need to do some research on that one. Before we go on, guys, we are aware of the fact that we haven't even slightly covered La Liga, Bundesliga, and Ligue 1. But these first two episodes, they were entirely dedicated to the Premier League season, to the Serie A season starting from next season. I'm going to say it here, but we're going to repeat it at the end of the episode. Starting next episode, there's going to be a huge piece of news for you all to enjoy. And at the beginning of each episode, we're going to also quickly cover Bundesliga, La Liga, and Ligue 1. Today is not the day. Our friend Chris Hanley is asking us on Twitter, what do you guys think about Tammy Abraham at Roma? Well, right now we've got 3 interviews lined up. The first one is a Roma fan talking to us. His name is Joe Spagnolo. Listen up and enjoy. We'll be back after the third interview. And here we are with a new friend of the pod, Joe Spagnoli. Welcome, Joe. How are you doing today?
Hey, Tommy. I'm doing fantastically. I'm really, really excited to be on the pod and to discuss the, as we've just talked about off stream, mess impratici that is AS Roma.
Nice. Rory's here as well, rocking his Bari shirt. Nice.
Mate, after 3 years, finally tracked one down in this crazy part of the world. It took me a long time, but finally got it. And now I'm not going to take it off. I think that's it.
Nice, but we're here to talk about Roma. Joe, where are you calling us from? How long have you been supporting Roma for?
I'm calling you from Shropshire, England. If you don't know where that is, don't worry, nobody does. And I've been a supporter of AS Roma since it would have been the spring of 2004 when I just turned 6 years old. The family, despite being partially Italian, doesn't actually have any link to the city whatsoever. I just happened upon a Europa League game that Roma won, knew there was a bit of Italian in me, and despite my best efforts, I am still a supporter of them 15 years later. So a boyhood fan that has actually not much link to the football club.
Nice. Have you ever had a chance to watch them at the stadium?
I have not, no. In fact, I haven't been to Lazio in my life yet. Every time I've been to Italy, because my family are from Parma, and I've seen a lot of Emilia-Romagna, or at least the western side of it. But all of our trips to Italy have been in like the Veneto and Piedmont and Emilia-Romagna. I think the most southern we've gone, we went into Umbria by accident. Like we haven't been further south of that. I always say as soon as the new stadium is built, I'll go. However, that probably means I won't be in Rome by 2035 at best, the way things are currently going.
You know, one thing about Italians, we take our own sweet time. But Roma didn't take their own sweet time in appointing a new manager. This was already last season. Like before the season was over, we already knew that, ladies and gentlemen, the special one, Jose Mourinho, would be back in Serie A wearing red and yellow. And as we've already covered in the pod today, managers have been like the headlines of the transfer window in Italy. What do you feel about Mourinho? Are you excited? Are you kind of worried? What is your feeling at the moment?
The small aspect of me, which is a fan of Italian football and not a fan of Roma specifically, is very excited because Mourinho is guaranteed box office and banter irrespective of what club he's at. The Roma fan in me, when it was first announced, and you're right to say it, Tommy, it was such a surprise. We'd been linked with Maurizio Sarri for about 6 months, and then Mourinho just came out of nowhere, and Sarri, ironically, has gone to Lazio, which is just hilarious. But my immediate reaction was quadrilingual, pentalingual, maybe even septilingual swearing. I just didn't want it to happen because it's not so much that I love Paulo Fonseca so much, which I did and I still do. I don't think he was given a fair crack because injury crises ultimately hampered what there was of last season. But it was nice that there was a splitting of a manager that wasn't completely acrimonious. Fonseca didn't get sacked. It's just that his contract ran down. By all accounts, he's actually been very accommodating to Mourinho coming in. As the summer's gone on, I've warmed to it slightly. There seems to be like a fighting culture about the club now. We all know what a massive deficiency Roma have on the mental side. No Scudetti in 20 years. So I'm excited to see how it goes. But it's just the change of manager, Di Francesco and Fonseca, very attacking focused, to Mourinho, who, I mean, how do you say park the bus in Portuguese?
Park the bus. I don't know. I have no idea how to say that. But let me tell you, as we already told our listeners in the previous episode, guys, this is the year you need to learn Italian because, as you said, press conferences are going to be absolutely box office. I can already see Inter Roma or Roma Inter. Mourinho is going to throw a few darts at the black and blue side of Milan. Rory, as you are a partial Roma fan as well, what do you make of disappointing?
I don't know what to make of it. Again, I was kind of strangely excited because I feel like weirdly Mourinho could still do well in Italy, despite the fact that his past 2 jobs in England have been absolute car crashes. I do get the feeling that he could still do something in Serie A, and I don't know where that feeling is coming from. I can see what Joe means about the mental side. We've seen that they've got 3 red cards in their preseason friendlies, including Mourinho being sent off. He's obviously kind of harnessing that warrior spirit, kind of us against them, us against the world kind of thing. I think that could do well for Roma. But yeah, as always with Mourinho, it's going to go one or two ways, isn't it? It's either going to be glory or it's going to be glorious failure. But I think weirdly Roma are kind of used to that. So maybe it's maybe it's a marriage made in heaven. I don't know.
But one thing that I'm sure about is that Mourinho, as I think he has already brought, and Joe, you can confirm or not, since I don't have a lot of Roma supporting friends, I think he's brought back the excitement that the club needs. I mean, he's when you look at Mourinho, you think also of all the trophies he's won, and I think he's brought the excitement back to the capital. How do you feel about that?
I mean, having Mourinho on the bench is just exciting anyway. The friendly that you're talking about where there were 3 red cards was against Porto, and there's a fantastic image of the players surrounding Pepe, Mkhitaryan going to punch him, and then there's a shot just beneath it of Jose Mourinho sat on the bench laughing about it. Like, it's the kind of warrior/banter spirit that only Jose Mourinho can bring. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a bit of excitement. Yeah, I don't like the way Jose Mourinho plays specifically, but the thing is with Roma fans, and I feel like this is more emblematic of Italian football than English in general, we kind of just prefer to win. There's no prerequisite on winning with style. We're not expecting a Johan Cruyff to come in out of nowhere. Winning is what matters. And yeah, I'm excited about that for sure. It's just, as Rory said just then, I really don't know how this is going to turn out. There is a feeling that this appointment could be exciting. It could lead to maybe Champions League qualification this year, maybe even an unlikely Conference League win. But even after pre-season, it's pretty difficult to tell. Mourinho on the interview front hasn't even done an interview for about 6 weeks. I think that's a lifetime record for him. He's waiting for that box office to come in.
Yeah, exactly. He's holding his breath for once the season kicks off. Roma, actually, we're recording on a Thursday. Roma are playing tonight in the Conference League at 7:30, and then we'll find out what they are really about on Sunday at 8:45 p.m. as they take on Fiorentina in their home turf. But manager aside, the other big news is that after years and years, Edin Dzeko has gone. He's now an Inter player, and he's been replaced by another player well known by the Premier League fans, Tammy Abraham. How do you feel about this signing? Because I'm kind of excited to see how he will do in Italy.
He's a very Mourinho signing, and while I'm skeptical of bringing in players just for a manager who could well be gone in a couple of years, and then you end up with a bunch of dead wood that you can't sell. I mean, look at half of our squad right now. I am excited, of course. I've been very skeptical of Tammy Abraham because, of course, he wasn't part of the Chelsea squad, really, after Thomas Tuchel came in. He's still their top goal scorer from last year. He's their top goal scorer from the season before that as well. I'm not saying he's the same quality of player, and it's funny considering this is how it went the other way. It reminds me a lot of the Lukaku signing, actually, in the sense that he moved to Italy not because he wasn't good enough for the team that he was at, but just because the manager didn't like him. Solskjaer dropped Lukaku for some reason, and he still ended up as Manchester United's top goal scorer in that last year when he was about 20 pounds overweight. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. The issue I have is I'm so used to seeing what Dzeko provides. I'm so used to seeing how he brings in, attacking midfielders, trequartistas and wingers into the play. That's not what Tammy Abraham does. Maybe with his phase 2 goal, he's a bit more clinical than Dzeko has been, especially in the last couple of years. But the back to goal work is what really matters, at least to me. And that's not really in Abraham's game yet. The thing is, though, he is 23. He's apparently a very coachable player. His fitness is fantastic, especially for a Chelsea striker. So I'm sure if there's any manager that's going to mould him into an all-around forward, a great striker, it is Jose Mourinho. But to be honest, if you're looking back through recent Roma history, what great strikers have there been other than Edin Dzeko? Like, you have to go back to Batistuta, and even after one season, he was more or less washed up. So, yeah, skeptical, but of course excited because it's a marquee signing.
What did you make of it, Rory?
Yeah, I think it was a big statement, right? It's broken their transfer record. It's their biggest ever transfer. I think that's a statement of backing the new manager, backing Mourinho. Abraham, obviously, he was linked with my club, Arsenal, as well, and I wasn't too excited about it. Then I saw Atalanta linked with him, and I was like, oh, maybe he's actually pretty good because Atalanta never really get it wrong. So I don't know. I think we've talked about it on the pod before, Tommy. We love an English player abroad, especially in Serie A, trying to prove themselves. And I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think he could have a big season for Roma. Like Joe pointed out, the fact that he's been Chelsea's top scorer for the past 2 seasons goes completely ignored to the point where I thought he was average. And I think he probably isn't. I think it could be a really good signing.
We shall see. But and going to the opposite side of the pitch, Roma, a sector where they've been struggling, to say the least, in the past 5 years. Goalkeeper, I already see Joe smiling. And so you decided to sign a 47-year-old keeper by the name of Rui Patricio. Now, I'm just joking because, honestly, I've heard a lot of people giving Rui Patricio the stick, but he's definitely got experience, and he's a very decent goalkeeper, in my opinion. What did you make of this signing, the Portuguese connection, Mourinho, Rui Patricio?
I'm glad you've already mentioned the Portuguese connection because I feel like that was a crucial part of the reason why the signing was made. Exactly. People who are acting like it's a massive upgrade on Paul Lopez. To be honest, I am a bit of a Paul Lopez defender, and it's a hill that I've been happy to die on for the last couple of years. I really don't think he's that bad. And if you're looking at the stats from the last couple of years, ignoring league differences between them, Rui Patricio and Paul Lopez are surprisingly similar in terms of their shot stopping, mistakes made. The difference is that Rui Patricio is considerably older, has no experience in Serie A, at least as far as I remember, and cost us, I believe, 11 million euros, which for that for that age of a goalkeeper, for me is borderline heresy. Originally I was thinking he was a replacement for Antonio Miranda, who's just been released, and who after that performance against Manchester United should have been released. And I was always expecting another goalkeeper would come in, an Alessio Cragno or Juan Musso or someone else. and then they just didn't. It looks like it's going to be Patricio and Fusato this year, and unless Fusato really comes good, I mean, I'm willing to give Patricio a chance, but from what I've seen from him in pre-season, he is quite error-prone. He hasn't adapted immediately like, say, Szczesny did or Alisson did when he came in. I'm not expecting him to be another Alisson, but yeah, I'm very skeptical about this one. I wasn't a fan of the signing when it happened, and I'm still not now, to be honest.
Aia, we would say in Italian. It means ouch. We should see how that goes. But so overall, the other signings are Matias Vigna from Palmeiras. Can you tell us something about this player? He's a left back, and I don't know much about him, so you might be the right person to ask information to.
To be honest, I'm not an expert on him by any means because I don't follow South American football ridiculously closely. However, he's played for Nacional and Palmeiras, two of the biggest and best clubs in South America. Palmeiras fans were very sad to see him go. Nacional fans are happy because there was a sell-on clause, and even they get a bit of money from this deal. Apparently, the fee is very, very respectable. I mean, he's a Uruguayan defender, which I just like in profile. I love the way that Uruguay's national team play football. They're just so passionate about it. They're kind of the South American Italy in a lot of ways in terms of how they defend in particular. So I'm excited about that. It's a signing made out of necessity, don't get me wrong. The injury to Leonardo Spinazzola, who I will die on this hill, was the player of the Euros. I will not hear any difference on this. So I'm happy about that. The fee's more than respectable. What I've seen from him in pre-season is really impressive. And I'm not too worried about him taking game time from Riccardo Calafiori as well, because this whole idea of Jose Mourinho ruining young players is nonsense. If you look at his last two clubs, the amount of young players that have actually come through relative to, say, Paulo Fonseca, I'm happy. I'm happy with the Vigna signing for sure, especially for the fee.
And don't forget that Roma also have one of the pod's favorite midfielders for the past season, Villar. I'm very excited to see if he's matured enough to really make a statement on the pitch this year. Our time is almost up, Joe, but I wanted to ask you, so last year, Roma finished the 7th with 62 points, and let me check, 68 goals scored and 58 goals conceded. If you had to make a prediction, how would you think Roma could do this year?
We will concede at least 8 fewer goals. I'm saying that partly because I'm expecting there to be fewer injuries at the back, like especially centre-back last year was just a car crash. I keep forgetting that Marash Kumbula signed for us. He was just injured so often. Same goes for Chris Smalling as well. Moving to a back four as well, that suits Smalling quite a lot. There's an argument to say he's now a starting centre-back, which after last season, I find it hard to believe because he was so bad last year in the back three. But anyway, I'm not going to get too excited about goals scored. I don't think Abraham's going to immediately hit the ball running. I actually have more excitement in terms of goal output from Eldor Shomurodov, which is a signing that's going under the water. And I just really, really love how much that signing's being ignored because I'm expecting this guy to surprise us all.
Yeah, he did very well at Genoa last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He did. His goals per game is ridiculous. Like, people are comparing him to Andrea Bellotti. And like, if you ignore Bellotti's penalty goals, Shomurodov per game scores like twice as many in stats, which is just insane for a player that is so unknown. I would say either 5th or 6th, kind of dependent on how far we get in the Conference League. I mean, bear in mind, there's a chance that we go out to Trabzonspor because by all accounts, they're actually a very good team. Mm-hmm. What a team to draw in the playoff stages of a competition, which is brand new. Probably the best team we'll face in the Conference League for a while, assuming we get through. I'd say 5th or 6th, some improvement made, but as with Mourinho, it's about the second season. I'm kind of just waiting to see how we go through.
No Roma in the Champions League, according to Joe Spagnoli next season, correct?
Yeah, I tend to be careful with my predictions. I think 5th or 6th, Europa League.
All right, Joe, it's been a pleasure.
Beautiful.
It's been a pleasure. And whenever you want to come back on the pod, you know how to find us. Whenever you want to yell at Roma or just cherish whatever they've accomplished, we are here for you to share whatever you want to say with. Rory, anything to add? Your half red and yellow heart might have something to add about this transfer campaign.
No, I'm just glad that Shomurodov got a shout because from what I've seen, I'm really excited about him. And he's from Uzbekistan, and I don't think I've ever seen an Uzbek player in the top league, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think it could be a great signing.
Sorry to interrupt. He's only the second Uzbek player ever to play in Italy, I believe.
Yeah. That is making pathways, right? And I think Joe was right. He could surprise a few of us. So I'm glad he did get a shout out. Yeah.
But so thank you very much, Joe.
After much anticipation, is what all the fans have been waiting for, all our listeners. Finally, Tommy gets to talk about what has been a up and down roller coaster, chaotic car crash, jubilant summer at the San Siro. The owners were nice enough to give us 5 days of celebrating the Scudetto before it all went terribly wrong. But before we get into it, of course, I'm joined by Tommy and friend of the show, Michael. How are we doing, guys?
I'm fine, thanks. Hello, everyone. Nice to be back here.
You know, it's cool, mate.
After spending one entire summer talking about whatever happened at Inter Milan, we're finally excited to be here to answer to your questions, Mr. Rory.
Here we are.
So, there's only one place to start, right? There's only one place to start, and it is, of course, the surprise, I think, shock departure of the King of Milan, Romelu Lukaku.
Former king
of Milan. I believe there's been a plebiscite and he's been kicked out. But, Michael, what was your first impression? How are you feeling now? What stage of grief are you officially in?
No, I've gone past the grief. I've been really disappointed in what happened with Lukaku. I really thought he was the King of Milan. And I even got to the point where I was supporting Belgium against Italy because I wanted Lukaku to win the Euro Cup. So this summer has taught me a lesson. Never get attached to footballers.
As if you didn't learn it when Ronaldo was at Inter Milan, right?
Yeah, but that was the first big one. This has been, I don't know, it was just so disappointing because it came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting it. 2 weeks before he left Inter, Lukaku was swearing his love for the club. He said Chelsea was not the best option for him, and then it comes out it was his dream since he was a kid. A lot of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the overarching thing that's been mentioned is that he did a Twitter Q&A where under no pressure at all he said, "I'm going to stay in Milan, right? I'm happy in Milan."
Yeah, exactly. I was following it that.
And he did a lot. Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
But he did a lot of this speaking, then it took a long time for him to release his statement saying bye to Inter. Do you think he's completely ruined the legacy that there was?
Well, for me, he has. He left in the worst way possible, if you ask me. So, but I mean, if you ask other fans, they'll have different opinions. But in my eyes, he's ruined his legacy as much as Ronaldo did when he left Inter, as much as Ibrahimovic did when he joined AC Milan, and so on. So I'm not going to be supporting Chelsea this next season.
Good.
The thing for me was we were all waiting for the official statement that he would have published on his social media, and by his agent's statement and his statement, they don't make it sound too much like it was Inter Milan pressuring them to accept the offer. It makes it sound like, so in my eyes, I don't know if you agree, Michael, but Inter Milan went up to Lukaku and they were just like, "Look, we got an offer from Chelsea," and Lukaku instantly was just like, "Yup, we're good, we're gone."
I don't think it went that way. I think it went the opposite way.
He got the offer.
Lukaku's agent went to Inter's offices and said, "Look, I have this offer from Chelsea. Would you consider it?" And I guess it was really his dream. It was really Lukaku's dream to go back to Chelsea. I don't get it since Chelsea sold him twice. I think that's not a great move on his side, but what can I do? I just accept it, and life goes on. We are still the Italian champions.
Yeah, let's not forget that. We're still the Italian champions.
I forgot to mention at the top, Inter are Italian champions, for anyone who did forget. But it's interesting because it sounds like my impression was that it was very much Sunning driven and that they kind of said to him, "Look, we've had this offer, you need to go." How much anger is there towards Sunning at the moment? Because especially as well as with Hakimi leaving and not much investment being put into the team, how much anger is there around the headquarters in Milan?
Well, if you ask the fans around Milan, everybody's really pissed off. They can't wait for Sunning to sell the club. If you ask me, I have a slightly different opinion. Of course, if a better ownership came up and they wanted to buy Inter, I'd be happy, but you better be careful what you wish for. I don't believe in these American hedge funds buying clubs.
No.
Like AC Milan's ownership or like oak tree that bought a minority share in a minority stake in Inter. I don't believe in these American hedge funds, so I'm not wishing for Suning to just leave the club and then a hedge fund coming in. That's not what I want. Suning is partly to blame, but these offers that we received this summer, both for Hakimi and Lukaku, they were huge offers.
Mm-hmm.
Lukaku has been the biggest signing ever in the Premier League history. I mean, it's difficult to say no to these offers, so I can't really hold that against Suning. And Inter's financial situation is not good, and that's not because of Suning. Also, the whole pandemic situation and the stadiums being closed and all of that is not helping. So I'm not the one. Suning are partly to blame, but I don't blame them as much as other fans do.
Yeah, for the financial part, Michael is the one to talk to. I just know that this summer we would have to sell a few players. At the beginning, look, you forgot at the beginning of the domino effect. It was Conte leaving the club, but after that happened, I was just like, there were rumors that the entire team would be sold, which of course was madness. Hakimi, it was the number one, l'indiziato numero uno, we would say in Italy, like the number one player that we thought would be sold, and that was it. The Lukaku thing kind of came out of the blue, and it was disappointing because, look, it's going back to the man, Romelu Lukaku, like the statements he's made since he was at Inter Milan, they were big fucking statements all along. I'm the king of Milan. This is the place where I need to be right now. The partnership with Versace, like all these. It really felt like Milan was his home. We were the club that gave him another chance after he was ruled off pretty much the Premier League as a fat donkey, as the Manchester United fans called him. And so it really felt like there was a genuine attachment to the city and to the club. But apparently now, as Michael said, it feels like it really was his dream to go back to Chelsea, which, as Michael said, I don't get either since they rejected him twice. So disappointing, but we move on. We're still the Italian champions, and I think that needs to be reminded.
That's in the 90 seconds that have passed, you're still Italian champions. Yeah.
Yeah. And so life moves on, but yeah, kind of disappointing. Like, I don't know. I really thought it was going to be a symbol at least for another year or two. Maybe 2 would have been too much, but another year, I kind of expected him to be in Milan.
I would like to say another thing about Lukaku. If he had come out in June, say with his big dream of his about going back to Chelsea, maybe Hakimi would still be at Inter, because we didn't need to sell Lukaku for money. We sold Hakimi because we needed to sell him for money. But if we had sold Lukaku before Hakimi, maybe we could have kept him. So I don't like at all the way he played it.
No, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think today he posted on Instagram or on Twitter, like, I don't talk, I do my talking on the pitch. I was like, mate, you've done a lot of talking over the last year. Maybe just keep your head down because you've been talking yourself into a corner. But look, life moves on. You got over losses in the past. You will get over this one. And in the summer, I think you've done some pretty good business. I think I've seen a lot of people laughing online, but I wasn't laughing along. One I'm impressed with, your first big marquee signing, although it was surprisingly cheap, Edin Dzeko. How excited are we for this guy? He's done really well for Roma. I found his relationship with Roma and the ownership quite confusing because it was quite an open secret that he wanted to leave for a while. How do you feel about Dzeko coming into the team? Do you think he can get how many goals? I'm thinking 10 to 15 goals a season is decent for Dzeko, right?
Yeah, it would be decent. It's difficult to say because we don't know how much he's going to play. I'm not sure he's going to be a starter because there's talks about Inter signing another striker, so he might come off the bench. I am happy for Dzeko at Inter. I can't say I'm excited, but I'm happy about it. He's a solid player. The other players like him. Perisic is great friends with him, and so are the others. I'm sure he's got a great character. He's got experience that's going to be important in the Champions League. He knows the Serie A already, so he's not going to have any problems fitting in. So I don't have any problems with Dzeko coming in. I just want to see Inter signing another striker because I think the club's idea is that we can't replace Lukaku with another player as good as him. So we might as well sign 2 or 3 other strikers to make up for the goals that we're missing.
Yeah, and one other thing, I think that a lot of newspapers are making it sound like Dzeko is a bit of a panic signing, if you will. But Inter have been after Dzeko for the past 2 transfer windows. I would say Conte wanted Dzeko very badly to join Inter as a sub, and now he's finally here. I think we're going to get the goals from him, but as Michael said, he's not going to be. We can't rely on all the goals that Lukaku scored. We can't rely on him for all the goals that Lukaku scored. So yeah, bringing in another striker would definitely be good for us. There are talks about Correa. I don't know if anything else. Thuram from Mönchengladbach.
I think that could be a very exciting signing. I think we'll get on to Inzaghi shortly, but I think Inzaghi could be quite good for Thuram. As well as Dzeko, you have brought in possibly the angriest looking man in football and utterly terrifying, but also exciting, Denzel Dumfries from PSV. Now, when you first made this signing, I got big, like signing a player off the back of a tournament vibe, and we never know how that's going to go. There's been a few disasters in the past. I think João Pedro, was it? Oh no, João Mario, who you signed from Portugal, maybe?
Yeah.
So maybe a few warning signs, but I think what I saw from him from the Netherlands, he was blistering and by far their biggest threat in the team. Tommy, I'm going to start with you this time. How are you feeling about Denzel turning up?
I think he's coming in a position where Inter have kind of we've had Cancelo in the past, then we've had Hakimi, then now we've got him. It's kind of a position where Inter have struggled to find a player who will stay for more than 1 or 2 seasons. And judging from his footballing skills, I think he's a very good player. He's young, he's motivated. He seems very keen to work for the sake of the team. And then for what concerns the way he's fitting in, I've been following his social media. I removed Lukaku from our page, by the way. The Anglo-Italian pod is not following Lukaku anymore.
Okay, cool.
It will not come up in our feed anymore, but he's been replaced by Dumfries. And I think he's been fitting in great. Like the things he's been writing recently, there was a picture of him with Perisic today saying, "Thank you, bro, like you're my personal translator." And he's already released, I think, an interview. Maybe it was a Q&A on Twitter or Instagram. He said he's very happy to be here. And I mean, it's a huge chance, like coming to a big league like Serie A, coming from the Eredivisie. I think this goes to all the players in general, or the ones that are already there and the new signings. They kind of want to show that Inter wasn't only Conte, Hakimi, and Lukaku, that there is a backbone in the team already, and they're ready to deliver the fans what they deserve. So I think I'm getting great vibes from the guy, and I hope he will deliver starting already this weekend against Genoa. Mike, what do you think?
Like to add that he was PSV's captain, so he's quite young, but it shows that he has character. He seems like he's got a strong character, and I'm happy for him. He's fast. He's not as fast as Hakimi, obviously, but he's a similar player to Hakimi. One thing he has that goes for him is he's more physical than Hakimi. I saw him score a lot of headers. He's probably stronger physically, so in Serie A, that's always a plus. I'm pretty confident that he'll be a very good signing. I would almost say that he's the best right back, right winger in Serie A right now.
Wow, big take.
Wow.
I like it.
Well, big. I like that. I like that bold prediction.
Who would you take over Dumfries in Serie A?
As a right back, Rory and I have a big problem remembering who plays right, who plays left. Spinazzola is a left back, correct? Yeah.
Who?
Spinazzola.
Yeah, he's left back.
Left back. So yeah, off the top of my head, I don't think Rory is looking at the ceiling. I don't think he can come up with any other name either.
I'm struggling. Maybe you've completely put me on the spot there. Yeah, I'm struggling. Maybe you're right. We shall see. We shall see. The other signing you've brought in, who is an intriguing one. We've talked earlier in the pod about people crossing city divides. Pedro. Now we have Çalhanoğlu. What a weird signing, no?
It's number one, the G is silent, Rory. I've already told you multiple times. It's Chalanolu. We don't pronounce the G.
I stand corrected.
But man, I don't know. We are pretty excited. I mean, both Michael and I were just like, that's a nice piece of business. He's got a pretty big salary, but we signed him from free from our bitter city rivals, and that's always a good feeling. We've seen over the seasons how he performed at AC Milan. Sometimes he was a bit under the radar, but how many assists was it last year? 12 assists, 11 assists?
Yeah, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
More than 10.
Yeah, he's definitely an experienced player. He knows Serie A very well. That's the same narrative as for Dzeko. It's not a player that needs to adapt to a new league. He knows how Serie A works perfectly, and I don't know. It's exciting. I'm very excited about it. A great piece of business from our sporting director Marotta. Once again, what do you make of it, Mike?
He will have a lot less responsibilities at Inter than he had at AC Milan. So I think he's not going to fold under pressure this time. He's more experienced and he's going to have less pressure on him. Nobody is expecting him to be the guy. He's just a piece of the puzzle. So, so I'm happy for it, and I'm looking forward to the derby. I want to see him. I want to see what he's made of when he suits up against Milan. We'll see. Well, you know, when Eriksson got that heart attack, we a piece of the puzzle was missing. We were missing someone who could take set pieces, take free kicks and corners and so on. We have him now, so I can't complain. I'm happy for him. We didn't pay anything for him. He was a free signing, so I don't think we could get any better for that money.
Beautiful, good. And then finally, arguably the biggest change over the summer was, of course, as Tommy alluded to, Conte leaving and Inzaghi incoming. Now, our reactions on the pod when Inzaghi was announced, Tommy's was quite vocal and heat of the moment, arguably. Tommy, how have you cooled down? Have you taken a moment to think about it? Are you still swearing? How do you feel?
No, all right. That episode was very funny. I actually, like, the other day I was looking through past edits that we had of our shows, and I bumped into that one. I opened that one randomly, and it was quite a funny ending to the episode. Me swearing when Inzaghi was appointed. It felt like a panic signing. Like the manager that I think me, Mike, and the majority of Inter supporters would have liked was Max Allegri. But then Inzaghi came on, and that was it. At first, heat of the moment, you're just like, he's coming from Lazio. He wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. If you remember, Marcelo Bielsa was Lazio's manager, and then he was a sort of backup. But now, with my mind cooled off, I can say that I kind of reckon the great job he's done at Lazio over the past years. He's won a Super Cup against Juventus, which was very big. Maybe an Italian Cup too, Coppa Italia. Against Atalanta in the final. Yeah. He did Coppa Italia, a Super Cup. He's definitely, the thing that I like about Inzaghi is that he seems like the person that just like head down, does his job. He doesn't complain too much to the ownership. He's got his mind set on his work, so that's the good thing. He plays with the same lineup as Conte, with a 3-5-2 or 3-5-1-1. You could argue. So I think that's very good. He doesn't bring a lot of changes to the lineup that Inter has, and he's got experience. He's done very well at Lazio. He's brought them back to the Champions League, and right now it's a step forward in his career. And he looks like the man who's ready to take it.
Nice. And Michael, what was your initial reaction? How are you feeling? What do you expect from the season ahead with Inzaghi in charge?
Well, my initial reaction wasn't the best one. As Tommaso said, I wanted Allegri. I wanted a more experienced manager, maybe. However, I've changed my mind over the summer. Inzaghi seems to have fit in very well. The preseason was excellent. We won all the games, I think. We didn't allow any goals. He seems to get on well with the players. So I think in the end, there is a reason why Marotta is a sports director and I'm not into sports director.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm sure that Inzaghi will do a good job. As a whole, probably we have taken a step back, but who knows? Maybe we'll take 2 steps forward soon. Maybe the whole team will gel together, and we might even do better than last season. Nobody knows. The thing that reassures me the most is that the competition is not the best, at least in Serie A. I don't think any team outside of Juventus has gotten any better over the summer. Maybe Lazio has. But I'm still confident that we are the best team in Serie A. We got the best defense, the best midfield, and the best wings. I'm not sure about the attack, and I'm sure we don't have the best goalkeeper. But
this is a question.
It is mental that you have not got a new goalkeeper. It is mental.
So I jump from the guest side to the host again, and I wanted to ask you, Michael, how do you feel about the fact that we did not fucking sign a new goalkeeper?
Well, I was expecting it. I knew kind of knew that Inter wasn't going to sign a new goalkeeper when we have Andanovic still on the contract. This is Andanovic's last season. He's a great professional. I mean, I can't say anything bad about Andanovic.
No.
He's getting a bit on, but we still have great defense, and I'm still confident we can cover his deficiencies. And last year, I don't think he was even in the top 10 of the goalkeepers in Serie A, but we still had the best defense, I think. Well, anyway, we still had a pretty good defense. So I think that we can still cover up for him for his mistakes, but we do need a new goalkeeper. At least
at some point. At some point, you need a new goalkeeper. Yeah.
And I'm happy for him. He gave us everything he had, and I don't want to see him leaving Inter in a bad way. So
no, I think that's fair. He's put in a good shift at Inter. He's been there long enough.
Yeah.
Our time is almost done, but one thing that I want to say, I'm very glad that among all the madness that happened to Inter Milan this season, first Conte leaving, then Eriksen having a heart attack, then Hakimi leaving, then Lukaku leaving. It's been quite a ride, but I'm very happy that among all this madness, we didn't sell any of our defenders. And a great purchase that we had this year, which is not really a purchase, is Federico Di Marco. And I'm super fucking excited to see him at Inter Milan. I feel like his confidence has been brewing over the past 2 years, and he was waiting for this chance. So keep your eyes on good old Fede. And then again, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Don't buy all the crap that the media is trying to sell you about the fact that Inter are like very few analysts consider Inter one of the favorites for the Scudetto. But I can tell you one thing, just go to any Inter's players' Instagram and you will find a great atmosphere at training. Like Brozovic and Barella are just like throwing banter all over the place. They do car chases on the highway and shit like that. And I think that players like this, especially Barella, really perceives the love from the Inter supporters, and he will want to become one of the key pieces in our team. He was already, but he wants to confirm that status. He wants to show that he's here to stay. The other day, during a friendly match against Dinamo, he was singing the Inter anthem, which was huge for the Inter community. And so really don't count Inter out. We're still going to be there, top 4 at least, but I think we're going to be pushing for the title. And thank you for calling us to join your podcast, Rory.
Mate, you'll have to come on again. You will have to come on again.
Maybe next Friday.
Maybe next Friday. Yeah, thanks. That was great. Hopefully, look, we all want Inter to have a great season. And more importantly, we all need to make sure we are at the San Siro this season for at least one game now that people are allowed back in stadiums, right? We need to make sure that happens. So, guys, I think we're going to leave it there. Any final words?
Yeah, thank you, Rory. It was quite a pity that your co-host wasn't there, Tommaso. He's a great guy, super good looking, super fun, interesting.
I could feel the shackles were off. Now he's not here. Yeah.
But no, thank you very much. It's been great to finally talk Inter Milan after this crazy summer. Mike, happy to be back on the pod.
Yeah, thank you, Rory. Looking forward to see some Inter game with you. Hopefully in 2 weeks, maybe, we'll be able to watch a game together.
in 2 weeks' time when I am back from North Africa, when I make the long journey back. But thanks, guys. I will see you later.
And here we are with our last interview for this episode. And online with us is Raffa Rispo, hailing all the way from upstate New York. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing, Raffa?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. This is exciting. I can't wait to talk a bit about Napoli's upcoming season with you guys.
Beautiful. Rory, I have to mention this. Rory always brags about his beard, but today he's no match to Raffa's massive beard. Love to see it. Also, we have to mention the display on the wall. Raffa has framed a bunch of historical Napoli jerseys, which really, I mean, I don't know. They make me excited to talk about the upcoming season for the Azzurri. Raffa, number one, how are you doing? And number two, what can you tell us about Napoli going into this 2021-2022 season?
Well, I'm doing good. Everything is doing pretty, we're faring well here with COVID, and, it's getting somewhat back to normal now. And you mentioned the beard, and I thank you for the praise for the beard and the wall. The beard's like, I've been wanting to shave it and cut it, and the hair too. I've got some hair back here. But it's sort of like a trademark for me now. So everyone's saying don't cut it, because I do the shows, the Raff and Raff rant and stuff for Far From Vesuvius, and it's sort of been a trademark. But I do appreciate Ruairi's beard there. I also appreciate the body jersey. It's like you're that's like our sister club, the little the Napoli, the ADL owned club, the coming up, but I love seeing you wearing it, so it's really cool.
I'm the only jerk not wearing a football kit.
No,
today.
that's okay. That's okay.
No, but you do have your own chest hair on display, so that's great as well. That definitely helps. But no, I honestly, every time I've come down to southern Italy, I've like slowly started falling in love with Bari a little bit more. And one of their players came from my hometown in England, so always a team I liked. And yeah, they're owned by De Laurentiis as well, right? So it's a bit of a. I think people here get annoyed about the lack of investment from him. How do you feel about the lack of investment from him?
Well, so technically the club is owned and run by De Laurentiis' son, Eduardo. No, I'm sorry, Luigi. And so basically the fact that the club is not pouring money into Body, I think it's just a books thing where they don't, the ADL has to show, proper money management to Napoli, whereas Luigi's got his own kind of kitty for Body. But, I think, with the model of how Napoli came back from, bankruptcy, I think Body have a really good chance in coming back up too. It's just that when they get back up to Serie B and Serie A, they'll probably have to start looking for new ownership, because even though Luigi is the owner and the person who runs Body, you can't have the same entity or the same, you can't have like a nepotism in Serie A, I guess. Lotito got away with it with Lazio and Salernitana for half the season, but we'll see how that unfolds. But I mean, I'm so excited for the season to start for Napoli. It's a lot of us are, very 50-50, where some don't really see the same or feel the same enthusiasm as I do, but I'm very excited. I think we could do pretty well this season.
Are you not mad at the lack of investment that was done for the team, besides appointing Spalletti as a manager, which I think is a great appointment? I would want to say almost a match made in heaven, even though we will see. So what do you think about the manager and also a bit of the lack of investment on the rest of the squad?
Well, let me start with Spalletti. I think everyone who knows me watching this knows that I was not a very big fan of bringing Spalletti in at the beginning. I was so attached to Gattuso. I think it was an emotional attachment. He was a favorite in our household. But studying the move a little bit more since the end of the season last year, because when you're watching one season, you don't really want to look ahead until it's over. So I was so focused in on what Gattuso was doing, I didn't give it a chance to even think about what Spalletti could do for us. But yeah, I've turned the leaf, and I think I'm very excited for Spalletti to come in, especially since the quote unquote lack of investment for Napoli this mercato. Now, touching on that, COVID is a thing. It really did impact all teams, and they're spending the way they feel they need to spend. Napoli has always been a very well-run club when it comes to balancing the books, as some of our fans like to say, and are annoyed with, actually. But when you don't have the income from the gate receipts at the stadiums, when you don't have Champions League money, you need to invest smartly. You need to really take that time to look at your club and finances and say, okay, what can we get away with and what not? I really feel like ADL, Giuntoli, the director of sport, and everybody in the organization really took this approach to the mercato carefully and seriously, and saying, okay, without all the injuries simultaneously last season, we could have run for Scudetto. And I truly feel like this is how they feel. There's no, we missed out on the Champions League by 1 point on the final day, but had we not been riddled with COVID and injuries, and I get it, every team was really affected by it, but in my opinion, and this is not a Napoli bias, no team in Europe were affected like Napoli was. And I don't just mean by COVID, I mean by the injuries. Injuries simultaneously were devastating to us, especially in that Christmas time where, from Christmas to about February, where in February we were playing Granada in the Europa League round of 32, and we were only able to have 2 main roster players on the bench. The rest of it were packed with Primavera B players, Primavera 2. Napoli were relegated from Primavera 1 the season prior, and last season we're in Primavera 2. So the fact that we were very, very thin and injured, and I feel like Napoli could have really been a little more comfortable last season without all that, and not making any moves in the Mercato so far, I don't think hurts Napoli, because that team with everybody firing on all cylinders is top 3 in quality, if you ask me, behind Inter and Juventus.
I agree with you.
So I'm sorry, and then the only thing that upsets me is that we knew coming into the Mercato we were losing Husay at left back, and Mario Rui is not capable of starting left back every single week. So something had to have been done right away, and it's still not addressed with 2 days left of the season and a little over a week left in the Mercato. So that's the only thing that really upsets me, is that we had an area that needed to be addressed and we haven't addressed it yet. But I don't think left back is going to make or break where we stand in the standings at the end of the season. I think we're going to finish pretty strong.
I'll take it. I'll take your point. I really appreciated this talk that you just had. And one of the big signings could be a fit Osimhen for the entire season, because what we see from that guy was absolutely exciting. Rory knows something about it, as he had him in fantasy football. But yeah, the injuries, the COVID stop and everything really slowed him down. What are the players that you're relying most hopes on this year? And do you think Insigne is going to stay at Napoli?
Well, so let me just say that I do feel like Insigne will re-sign for the club. He doesn't have to re-sign before this Mercato is over. And I think a lot of people are panicking that if he doesn't re-sign before the season starts or before the Mercato is over, that gives him a chance to start talking to other clubs come January, because his contract is up next season. I fully believe that there's a lot of time for Insigne and De Laurentiis to sit and talk about this. They've already, I think De Laurentiis has already prepared a contract until 26, which Insigne's people have said that if this contract is presented, he would accept. I mean, is it like, do Napoli fans have the right to feel negatively towards this? Yes, I feel like they have a right to be concerned because, De Laurentiis has sold captains before right under our feet. Cannavaro to Sassuolo, Hamsik to China, and he's made deals for big time players. Maggio was gone without a trace, and longtime servants of Napoli. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Insigne would be sold. I just don't see it happening in another club in Italy. So when the Inter talks come, I don't listen to it. And I don't think Insigne wants to. Yeah. But it just doesn't make any sense, especially that one rumor that it was Insigne and 15 million for Alexis Sanchez, and I don't even see where that would make sense because Alexis Sanchez is such a different player than Insigne. He's a center forward, am I correct? Napoli don't need help in the center forward department. They have Osimhen and Petagna, and when you say who are the players that are going to make the biggest impact, for me, it's hands down, it's Osimhen.
Yeah,
you don't finish a season scoring 7 goals in 10 matches, and wanting the season to continue because, as a fact, we know that he was upset that the season was over. He was upset with the way the season went last season, and he's looking for revenge and redemption. Insigne is going to be, and it's something to say that players without a contract have an ulterior like who knows that the contract is up soon, have like a desire to play even harder and faster and stronger because that new contract is coming, whether it's with Napoli or someone else. So he's got another point to prove on the heels of his best season of his career, club and country. And, I really feel like this is a breakout season for Zielinski. He's had such a great season last year with 9 goals and multiple, I think it was double-digit assists, might have been 10 or 11 assists. One of the best midfielders last season. For me, he was midfielder of the season. But, of course, Barella was able to win that because Barella was on Inter and Barella is another animal. But I think those 3 players mixed in with, like, Lozano, Mertens is still around, kicking it. We still have Koulibaly. And that's another thing. The lack of investment, yes, but we also were able to keep these players that were rumored heavily to leave after we missed out on the Champions League, like Koulibaly, Fabian, and now Insigne. We haven't gotten rid of any players. So if the Napoli stay healthy and have the mindset of that they always have, they can do some damage in this league, and I think they finish in the Champions League this season.
It's a beautiful take. Unfortunately, with the COVID situation, the transfer window is often a chance to keep players rather than buying new ones. And what you said is absolutely correct. Napoli did a great job at keeping those players that shouldn't have been sold. As an Inter fan, I can tell you, I don't know how you feel about Spalletti now, but I can tell you that I know one thing about Spalletti. Number one, he's got a great accent. And number two, the other thing is that he will get his job done. Like Spalletti brought us back to the Champions League. That's what he needed to do. He did it. I wanted to ask you, so last year, let me just open the table right now. Napoli finished 5th, only 1 point below the Champions League spots, winning 24 games, drawing 5 and losing 9. What are your hopes for this season? Our time is almost up, but I will let you go.
The hopes for this season are for sure top 4. But if we can't get to top 4, we need to win the Europa League. I think. Yes. Well, so here's my take on Napoli in Europe. They need a deep run in the Europa League. I'll accept a semifinal top 4 finish in Serie A. Coppa Italia at this point, I don't really care. We've won 3 of them. If we win it, it's great. If we don't, I'm not going to be devastated about it. But we absolutely have to do something this season. I mean, the inspiration was there last season when Maradona passed, and the players were not silent about the fact that they wanted to win something for Diego, and the injury bug hit them, and it was just the dreams were dashed. I think this season, it's imperative that Napoli do well in Europe. You cannot crash out of Europa League in the early stages and expect to go to the Champions League and do well. You have to make your mark in Europe. So for me, I need a semifinal appearance. And that's a lot to ask, but I need it. At this point, with these players, we got the same players, we're keeping our best players. I need for us to see a big run in Europe. Again, top 4 for me in Serie A is a priority. I'll accept an outside of top 4 if we win Europa League. So I think if we take this next week and a half to address the areas of need. I mean, we've got Juan Jesus as a backup center back now. There's talk about Manolas leaving, but we'll see. We need a left back. We need another central midfielder. If we can address those areas fast, quick, then I think Napoli can finish 3rd, maybe 2nd. If not, I still think Napoli can finish 4th. But this has to happen. Spalletti is the man to do it, like you said. I don't think he's finished outside of top 7 since Udinese, and that was a long time ago, guys. So, and he knows how to get the best of his players, like Gattuso did, especially in the attack. But the difference between him and Gattuso is that he's got the experience, the knowledge, and he's a winner. He's a proven winner. So I do feel like this is a good move for Napoli. It's going to work out whether we get a left back or not. Everybody needs to, just take into consideration that Napoli is still a force to be reckoned with. We still won so many games last year, 6-0, 5-0, lots of goals. I think they were just second from Atalanta in goals scored. And in Europe, they had one of the most goal tallies. And this is with Gattuso. So Spalletti could definitely do this. I think he's got Napoli in the right direction.
Yeah, Napoli was 3rd in goals scored after Inter Milan. No big deal.
Yeah,
no,
okay,
but
okay.
I just checked right now. But I agree with you, Raffa. Unfortunately, our time is up. I agree with you, and I do think that Napoli are going to make the top 4. Spalletti is a man that will deliver. I can guarantee you that. Rory, anything to add to this beautiful chat we've just had with Raffa?
I'm just really excited to see Osimhen this season. I think he's going to cost me a lot more in fantasy this year, but hopefully he plays a lot more and scores a lot more. I was pretty smug when he did when he did start playing and he was scoring. I was like, I told you he was going to be good. So I'm excited to see him again, definitely.
Nice. Raffa, thank you very much. Do you want to tell our listeners how to find your show, how to find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm primarily on Twitter at RaffaNapoli83, as you can see on your screen right here. You can follow me, and I love to chat about everything, not just Napoli, everything. At Raff Rant, that's the Raff and Raff Rant. That's a show that's a subdivision of Far From Vesuvius, which is a network of podcasts and videos and articles and all that stuff. I run that too at Far From Vesuvius. Find us on Twitter. You can also search for us on Facebook and Instagram. We're not very active there, but we're still somewhat active, so you can follow us there too. And good luck to all the teams in Serie A. Good luck to your teams this year. And Forza Napoli sempre. Grazie.
Thank you very much, Raffa.
Cheers,
that was beautiful. Talk to you later.
Ciao, ciao.
And that was it. Rory, I'm kind of proud of us for how we have mirrored the first episode and the second one. We got 3 interviews in the first episode, 3 interviews in the second one. Fuck yeah.
Organizational skills, boy. I feel like, the first season was great, but now we need to be greater. And I think more organizational skills. It's all coming together, ladies and gentlemen. I can feel it getting better. They were great interviews. I was really, really pleased to have them on. I feel like we're kind of nailing it with the guests, right? We're nailing it.
And guys, honestly, to anybody listening, you can reach out to us at Italian Anglopod on Twitter, at Anglo-Italian Pod on Instagram. We are always keen to have guests on. You want to get something off your chest. You want to tell us that we're full of shit. Maybe we need that too. Actually, we definitely need that too. Come on.
Tommy needs that. My ego can't take it. I have a very fragile ego. I only need people to agree with me all the time.
As long as I'm drinking beer, I would probably accept that too. Rory, we didn't really plan on doing this right now, but I'm going to put you on the spot. We did the predictions from the Premier League. Let's mirror the fuck out
Oh, God. I didn't think about it.
Episodes. Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot. Serie A winner.
Juventus.
I'm going to say Inter Milan.
Ooh.
Serie A top goal scorer.
Ronaldo.
I'm going to say, wow, Serie A top goal scorer. This is a tough one. This is a very tough one.
Simy, Salernitana.
I'm going to say Edin Dzeko, all right, for Inter Milan. Revelation team of the season?
Salernitana.
Salernitana, all right. I was gonna say revelation team of the season, maybe Venezia. I don't know. I'm on all over social media. I'm seeing a lot of like pumped up fans. And then what were the other categories that we covered in the first episode?
We had teams to be relegated, signing of the season. Oh God! You were just praising our organizational skills, and now we're completely off the wing.
And it came biting to our ass. Signing of the season. Who could it be in Serie A this year? Signing of the season.
Signing of the season. I'm going to say. Oh Christ! This is so bad.
I'm going to say Dumfries for Inter Milan. Who did you say?
Giroud.
I said Dumfries for Inter Milan. Okay, nice. And we're not going to talk about the relegated sides because we didn't prepare for these questions. But Rory brought up something very interesting. Simy, one of the key men in Serie A last season, who was playing for Crotone, he equaled Eto'o's tally for most goals scored in Serie A by an African player. And ladies and gentlemen, Crotone might be relegated, but Simy is back. He is officially a Salernitana player, and we cannot wait to see him perform again and outscore some of the biggest names in Serie A.
€6 million. That is an absolute bargain. I was talking to our friend Stephen Cole on Twitter, and he was saying he's surprised that no bigger teams went for him. That like someone like, I don't know, he was saying teams like Torino or Udinese could have been like a great signing for them. But I think Salernitana have done really well. I'm hoping they have a better defense than Crotone and can therefore actually take advantage of the goals he's scoring. But we'll see.
Rory, before we jump to the quiz section, this week we've got, on Saturday, we start the second match day of the Premier League with Liverpool, Burnley, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Leeds, Everton, Man City, Norwich, Brighton, Watford, and we move on Sunday with Southampton, Man United, Wolves, Tottenham, and Arsenal, Chelsea. Besides the last one I mentioned, what are the games to look out for this weekend?
I think the games to look out for are going to be Leeds versus Everton is going to be a spicy one. Two teams that Everton had a great start, Leeds not so much. I feel like they're two kind of equally balanced teams. That could be one to keep an eye on. Wolves Tottenham, Espirito Santo returning back to his old stomping ground. And you've forgot one, Tommy, West Ham Leicester on Monday night. I think is going to be an absolute banger. But of course, the one that everyone's going to be watching, including myself, probably from behind the sofa, is Arsenal Chelsea. And I'm going to stick with my earlier prediction of we will not lose.
Nice. And I thoroughly hope that Lukaku won't get his first goal back as a Blues. Serie A, ladies and gentlemen, kicks off on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. with Hellas Verona Sassuolo and simultaneously Inter Milan, champions of Italy. Don't forget that we are the champions of Italy, because
you will not let us forget, Tommy. None of our listeners are going to be forgetting that you're fucking champions of Italy.
Because there were the stupid Euros in between and people forgot. We are the champions of Italy. Inter take on Genoa at home. Empoli take on Lazio at 8:45, and so do Torino with Atalanta. On Sunday, we've got Bologna, Salernitana, Udinese, Juventus, Napoli, Venezia. Wow, this is an interesting, cultural difference, geographical difference. Napoli, Venezia on a Sunday night, and Roma, Fiorentina, definitely the big one. We continue on Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Cagliari, Spezia, and at 8:45, AC Milan take on Sampdoria in Genoa. Definitely a weekend full of football to look forward to. But without further ado, Rory, we've got a 1 minute kickoff quiz. I don't know. I can't come up with a good verb to start.
To begin to what? No, we're not starting. What do you mean to start?
No, to continue. I don't know.
To continue to follow on from my incredible display last week, we shall see if Tommy can step up to the plate. End of sentence. I don't know where I was going with that. And it's time for the 1 minute till kick-off quiz. I got off to quite a good start last week, don't you think, Tommy?
Yeah, 4 out of 7. That was pretty good. And you refused to answer to the one question that probably hurt your little British heart a little bit. So you could have had 5, but your pride made you score only 4. I'm quite satisfied with that one.
Maybe my pride, they always say pride comes before a fall. Maybe that will cost me. So this week, as you all know, but for any of you who don't, the 1 minute till kickoff quiz, Tommy will have 1 minute to answer as many questions as he can about a chosen topic. Tommy, what is your chosen topic this week?
My chosen topic needs a little bit of an introduction. Well, my chosen topic is Serie A season 2020-2021. However, Rory and I have a deal that whenever you pick the topic, you cannot do any research about it. Also, the past few days, I was at a music festival in southern Lazio, and they had zero time to research about this quiz. So I think that despite the season being pretty fresh in my memory, I think there might be some incredible slips. So I'm putting my hands forward a little bit before I embarrass myself with the quiz.
He's getting the excuses out already, listeners. Getting the excuses out already. I can feel his confidence slipping away.
But you know what will pump me up? Our theme song.
Okay, Tommy, let's do it. So whenever you're ready, let's begin. Question number 1. Which player got the most Man of the Match awards last season?
Romelu Lukaku.
No. Which team conceded the most goals across the season?
Crotone, for sure.
Good. Which team had the best away record in the league with 16 wins, 2 draws, and only 1 loss?
That's Inter Milan, right?
No. Which team averaged the most passes per game?
Most passes per game. Inter Milan again?
No. Who scored the first goal of the Serie A season?
The first goal of the Serie A season last year, I have no idea. I'm just going to go with pass.
Okay, who scored the last goal of the season?
Simy for Crotone.
No. Which player got the most assists?
Which player got the most assists? Was it Rodrigo De Paul?
No. Oh, Tommy, you've had a stinker. You have had a stinker. Maybe the questions were too hard, listeners.
No,
please
guys,
let us know.
Can I let you know something, listeners? Whenever that timer starts ticking, all of a sudden everything becomes difficult. They could be asking you questions about your life, and you would be like, "Oh God, I don't know when was it? I don't know. I have no idea." So, did I get 1 right only?
You got 1 correct. 1 correct. So let's go through the questions and the answers. The questions were: which player got the most Man of the Match awards? It was Insigne with 9. Which team conceded the most goals across the season? Tommy, you got that one right. It was Crotone with 92 goals.
Holy shit. 92
yes,
goals in 38 games. Good job, guys.
Which team had the best away record in the league with 16 wins, 2 draws, and a loss? It was AC Milan.
You know, after I said Inter, I was like, "Yup, it's the fucking Rossoneri. It's them."
Which is crazy because they finished like 7th, so their home record was terrible. Which team averaged the most passes per game? It was Sassuolo with 584 on average. Number 5, who scored the first goal of the Serie A season? It was Castrovilli. Fiorentina versus Torino. It was a 1-0 win.
Wow.
Who scored the last goal of the season? Frank Kessié in the 90-plus third minute for Milan versus Atalanta.
I should have
And then-
remembered that. It was a penalty. That sentence.
Of course it was. Of course it was. And finally, which player got the most assists? Malinovsky at Atalanta with 9 again.
Good questions, Rory. I like them. By the way, AC Milan finished the second at the end of the season last year. The at the end of the season.
Maybe I looked at their home record. Was they were 7th? Maybe that was their home record. Anyway,
it was Inter, AC Milan, Atalanta, and finally Juventus. So that means that it's already 4-1. Wow, I've got to come back. I've got to come up with tough questions for next week. Rory, what's going to be your topic?
I'm going to completely, because I'm wearing the shirt now, I'm just going to say SSG Bari, and I'm going to say I know nothing about SSG Bari. So we will see how that one goes.
Like the history of FSC Bari?
The Serie A years. Let's say the Serie A years. I don't know shit about Eccellenza and the Serie C and stuff, but yeah, the Serie A years Bari. Let's do that.
Rory, have you got something to tell our listeners about what you will be doing this weekend and how they will be able to share the same emotions with you?
Yeah, I am ridiculously excited, listeners. I get to go to my first game in 2 years, but feels like forever. It's a Coppa Italia game, and it's going to be SSG Bari versus Fidelis Andria. Now, why I'm really excited is because it's at the San Nicola Stadium, which is, I've driven past it, and it looks crazy. It's, of course, a stadium that was used
big. We drove past it as we were driving to Puglia, and it's massive, dude. It's like an international stadium. It looks like
a spaceship has landed in the middle of Bari. Like, it's mad. It's huge. It was obviously a stadium that was used for Italian 90. I think England played one of their games there. Really historic stadium. So I'm really excited to go. And fuck it, I get to go watch live football. It's a night game under floodlights. Hopefully, there's going to be lots of atmosphere. I think Bari have a pretty decent following for being in Serie C, so I'm really excited. And of course, I'm going to be putting it all on our Instagram. There'll be lots of stories, hopefully lots of goals, and hopefully a Bari win to celebrate. So yeah, make sure you keep an eye out Saturday night. If you've got nothing better to do on a Saturday night, you can keep an eye on how I'm getting on at the San Nicola.
That's very exciting, and hopefully that's the first of many games that we will be able to attend this season. That is in the works as well. Try to go to a few away games, to a few crucial derbies. We were talking Verona-Venezia, maybe it could be an interesting one. We shall see. But hopefully the first of many. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter at Italian Anglopod and on Instagram at Anglo-Italian Pod. Rory, anything to say to our listeners before I send them off with our customary quotes for today?
No, I think thanks for joining us as always, and I will see you next week.
Very good. So, unfortunately, this week on the 15th of August, we had to say goodbye to a footballing legend by the name of Gerd Müller. By the way, if you want to, we will give you the link in the description of the episode to our former website. We actually wrote an article about Gerd Müller 2 years ago. He passed away, Bayern Munich legend, and today we've got 2 quotes for you. The first one is by his former teammate Sepp Maier, who once said, "Gerd had thighs the size of some people's waist. The way he looked, I thought he wouldn't last long with us. But luckily, the history went differently, and Franz Beckenbauer says, in my eyes, he's the most important player in the history of FC Bayern." Go to Wikipedia, check out his trophy cabinet. It's insane. Check out Lewandowski's celebration from last year when he matched his goal-scoring tally in Bundesliga. It's really chilling. Gerd, rest in peace. Thank you for everything that you did for this sport. This was it for the second episode of the Anglo-Italian Pod, and we shall talk to you next Friday with one very big piece of news that you don't want to miss on. Talk to you later, guys.